Bread for the City is home. We've been in the community for years. We understand the community. We know the needs of the community.
The current Bread for the City is the result of a merger that happened between two very small little nonprofits. One of the organizations was Bread for the City, the original Bread, which started actually in 1976. So CC&V got started on the block on N Street, and their first project was a soup kitchen, Zacchaeus Soup Kitchen. Their second was a medical clinic called Zacchaeus Free Clinic.
I wanted to work in a community clinic, and it was very actually difficult to find a job. At the time, there was a hiring freeze in the city. So I ran into this lovely woman. She brought the residents over to this little tiny clinic called Zacchaeus Free Clinic. I just fell in love with the clinic and the model of care, and that's kind of how I first got intro to the clinic.
In 1996, Bread for the City was a much smaller organization. In fact, one of the funny things about it is that we were called at the time Bread for the City and Zacchaeus Free Clinic. And one of the things I never forget, every time you picked up the phone and said, that's Bread for the City and Zacchaeus Free Clinic, the next thing you hear somebody say is, what?
I think there were 4 full-time staff and 4 volunteer service corps folks. We were just trying to get out as much food and clothing as we could. What we ended up doing was discovering around the corner that Zacchaeus Clinic had been doing medical work with the same population, and we said, why aren't we working more closely together? And so we started partnering. And so the Jane Addams social work program was the first step of that, and then off of Jane Addams we spun the legal clinic, and then eventually merged all of it together into a single organization, trying to really do one-stop shopping for folks who were in need.
We needed new space, and that's when we first moved into the Shaw neighborhood, right here on the Northwest Center, with this big space that was just shocking to all of us because we had been kind of low-key underground, and now we're just kind of big and bold and above ground right here in Northwest.
When I got here, we had this building. This Northwest Center was a 9,000 square foot facility when I first got here, and now it's 22,000 square feet. And so the expansion of this center that we completed in about 2010. We completed the first Southeast Center in 2001. And then, of course, we just completed, in 2020, we completed the 27,000 square foot Southeast Center, the new center. And so, those are the things that really stick out because it's just easy to remember that we've done all this growth.
I started when the Southeast Center was built. I think they were providing services from a community church. And then there was a strategic goal to actually build a physical building in Southeast. So when I actually started working there, this beautiful building, but we quickly outgrew that building.
Bread for the City is unique. I got involved with Bread for the City over 20 years ago. I was experiencing a lot of health problems, anxiety. I really needed to have a primary physician. And a lot of my friends would say, well, go to Bread for the City. I had gone to healthcare organizations throughout the area. So I said, okay, let me go to Bread for the City. And when I came to Bread for the City, I really admired Dr. Randy. She was thorough, she was honest, and I believed in her.
I left an abusive relationship, and I was trying to get some counseling. I could not find any counselor. And so I called Bread for the City and says, because I'm afraid they're gonna hang up on me because that's what I've been getting before. So I happened to talk to one of the counselors. I said, please don't hang up on me. I just needed some help. And sure enough, they got me, seen, and I got my therapy I needed. And then I was introduced to different services of Bread for the City.
I think even though we are here in this community and we see and take care of people from this community all the time, when we see people who come and touch Bread for the City for a 15 or 30-minute appointment a couple times a year, and it's, no matter how hard you try, really hard to understand as fully as we need to the lived experience of people in the community. And I think that having a community board has brought the lived experience of this community much closer to us. It's made it much easier for us to understand and adapt and meet the needs of the lived experience in this community. And I think it's invested the community much more in bread as an essential part of this community.
You know, one of the things I have always appreciated bread for, that really gives me energy in my work, is not just sort of the permission to do bold things, but really the support to do bold and innovative things. I think there aren't a ton of agencies who would support us in taking all of the stands that we take or taking all of the actions that we take, and that's really, really important to me, and I see us doing even more of that in the future.
I mean, in the very near future, I think really our hope is to build up the Southeast Center, which is really feels like it's finally getting its footing over there.
We've got a strategic plan that talks about where we're going in the future. Our 5 strategic pillars include advancing racial equity, transforming public policy, or helping transform public policy, improving on existing programs, developing new programs, and like all organizations, we're sort of really focusing on how to make sure we sustain this work. Because even though, yes, we want to put ourselves out of business, this is a marathon, not a sprint to ending poverty or even decreasing the level of poverty in DC.
I think Bread for the City does the work that I want to do, and I can't do it alone. And Bread for the City doesn't do it alone. It does it with the volunteers and with the committed staff.
I get so much more than I give. And for me, coming here is the high point of my week, and it's the thing in my professional life that probably gives me the most satisfaction and the most tangible outcome.
I cannot imagine myself doing all that I'm doing right now if it weren't for Bread for the City. I'm just so grateful for all the opportunities I have.
I've been here since 1996, January 1996.
I've been at Bread for the City almost 22 years. It'll be 22 in October.
I have been volunteering here since about 2007, so I don't know, maybe 14 years.
I started at Bread for the City in August of 1988.
I've been a volunteer at Bread for the City since 1998.
I've been here for 24 years.
I've been with Bread for the City over 20 years.
And I've been with the organization for 32 years.
I am so proud and so privileged to be able to lead a group of folks who we go to battle with every day for folks living in poverty here in Washington, D.C. The thousands of people who've donated to Bread for the City over the years, and the thousands of people who volunteered, we've probably had almost as many volunteers as we've had donors, and they're the lifeblood in some ways of the work we do. We just couldn't do what we do without those folks. So thank you all who volunteered over these past 5 decades and who've donated to Bread for the City. You've made our work possible, and we really appreciate you.